Rico, and I am back again on your screen. So you guys are doing fantastic because South Korea is not, and there's a lot going on with this whole Japan versus South Korea relationship thing. That it's like they broke up and they came back together after a whole bunch of convincing, and then it's like, okay, now we do have a kind of relationship, but now there's still people that are once again filled with hate in their hearts, and it has to do with this Fukushima water release. And for people who probably do know, but I'm going to explain it to you anyway, what happened in Fukushima in 2011, it started with a very awful earthquake. And it caused tsunamis, it caused radiation to spread all throughout certain villages in Japan. And many people lost their homes. Many people were forced to relocate. There's still to this day certain parts of Fukushima that is not livable. Many people cannot live there. And as a result, what people are left with is this radioactive water. I can't even say it. Pollution in this water, and the water has to go somewhere, so there are plants that are being used to take the water. Starts off as groundwater, and they're putting the water through this pipe, and then it's going to a filter, and they are trying their best to take out all the radiation, all the pollution, and put it into these tanks. So they've been filling these tanks with this water since 2011, and they said last year and the year before that they were planning on releasing this water because they have to. It can't stay in the tanks, and the tanks are running out of space. They have all of these tanks and they have to now decide what are they going to do. So many people along the Pacific, South Korea, China, even Japanese people are saying that, oh hell no, leave that water in the tank. You gonna put the water where? You know, what about Halle Bailey? What about Flounder? What about Finding Nemo? They all gonna get sick. They all gonna be mutated into some weird thing. You know, they were talking about Halle Bailey, talking about she was an alien fish. Well, they were saying maybe when that Fukushima water hit her, she will be any alien burnt fish. So yeah, many people have started protests. This has been going on for like the last 2 years, where it's just been a back and forth. At first, Japan did not really release a lot of information about how they were going to go about this, and so many people were afraid. Now, this year, there are people that are running in South Korea and they're getting salt. There are people that are not buying deep water fish. And the fishermen are also running around in a panic. They're like, we're gonna lose business when you all finally release this water. What are we going to do? Like, we need to catch fish. We need people to buy the fish. We need all of this to go smoothly.
Are being undermined.
I think it's still too early to release the water into the ocean. It's too soon. I'd understand if they discussed it with everyone beforehand, but they haven't talked about it yet.
Some neighboring countries, including China and South Korea, have also voiced their concerns. And some Pacific nations have pushed for Japan to delay the release of the water until implications for the Pacific Ocean and islanders are clearer.
And I can understand where everyone is coming from, because if you don't really look for the information of how this water is being filtered, or you don't like readily search Japan and look at all of the meetings and all of the explanations that they have, you don't really know a whole lot about this. Even though they did explain like what was going on, there's still an element in the water that if you drink a whole lot of it, that it can make you sick. But then they're saying that this element is actually in our bodies as well, so it's like it's not really going to be harmful to humans. But most of the water that is in the tanks has been diluted with seawater, so they're putting it out into the sea, and it's already pretty much salt water by the time it goes through that pump and it goes out into the sea. And they said that they're not going to just dump it all. You're not going to see like a big wave just like whoosh. No, it's going to be like they're going to do it gradually. So looking at all of the graphs and the explanations and them saying like we have this under control. There's also been briefs with America as well, and they're like we're going with all the protocol. Like, this isn't going against international protocol. Everything is fine. What I will say is there's a lot still going on with South Korea and Japan as far as the history between the two places, and people saying that Japan should pay for the hurts that they have experienced, and Japan is saying like okay, fine, but move on. Like, we're trying to move on, but you all can't move on. There's a political agenda in this as well, where there are Korean people who just don't like Japan at all. It doesn't matter how much Japan explains this process, they still are thinking that the ghost of that monster was in that movie is gonna come out of the Han River once they pour this water into the Pacific. I do feel like that's biased thinking because they're gonna have to get rid of the water. The water can't stay in the tanks, y'all. Imagine what would happen if those tanks explode. Imagine if with Japan and all of their over 1,000 earthquakes that they have, big earthquakes, little small earthquakes, shaking, you thinking you in a massage chair. What if they explode? What if it's a pressure on the whole plant and they explode? What if the water that's going through the process that isn't diluted explodes? That water's still going to make it into the ocean. It's still going to leak into the ocean, and it's going to be the radioactive water that we don't want and that we don't need. I don't want to see mutated fish. I don't want to see mutated Ariel on a rock singing and killing and attacking people and people screaming. I want no parts of that. It's weird enough that there's people online like taking weird angles of fish. I saw some like weird pictures. It freaked me the hell out. Like, oh my goodness, it freaked me out. I was like, ugh. But as far as the process, I do trust the process. I do think that they're doing what they can, and then the water's going to have to go out. I would think that they've done experiments to make sure like people aren't going to drink the water and wake up and be glowing in the dark. I would hope that many experiments have been done, because this is a serious thing on both sides of the spectrum, because the water has to go. It's serious as well, because this is water that has radiation in it. This is water that is very polluted. So I do understand both sides, but I don't think that your overall biased feelings should be in it. I know that some people were saying that, oh, it had nothing to do with like hate toward Japan, and South Koreans are just scared because of, you know, where the water is coming from and all that. But still, I still feel like that's a cop-out in a way. Just say that you're mad about the trade and you're mad about getting your due desserts back for what Japan did to South Korea in the past. Just say that. I would respect that, but just say it. But don't play people for a fool and think that, oh no, it's just only because of this. No, it is partially the reason why there's so much outrage. And then, you know, we do have the people that care about the marine life as well as the environment, which is fine as well. But either way you look at it, the environment is going to suffer if they don't try to clean this water and try to do something with this water. Either way, you know, since 2011, the environment has suffered because this water has just been in different villages, in different places where people used to live. And it's just a natural disaster that has happened. And Japan has had to find a way to clean everything out. And I do understand that it's a lot. It's a lot, you guys. It is scary, but something has to be done, and we all have to sort of just see how it all pans out. So you guys, this is a lot to think about. How do you feel about this whole thing? Put below your thoughts. I would love to read how you feel about this. How do you feel about the process of it? How do you feel about the water going out in general? Sound off below. Follow my social media, mostly my Instagram. Also my blog and East Asian Pop Culture. The link is always down in the description box below. And remember, be real, stay real, live in the real. And I will always be back. Love you guys. I will see you in the next video.